Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today I'm going to bring in Etienne. We did actually record whilst I was over in Hong Kong, but the audio is pretty poor. So we got back, got settled, got back into routine, because what we're going to talk about today, slightly different, it's not optimizing your Amazon business. It's basically optimizing yourself to operate your Amazon business a bit better. So we'll look into a bit of biohacking and a few other things and things you can do, especially as in the eye of the storm of Q4. They say, as cheesy it is your health is your wealth. So, Etienne, do you want to give the audience a little bit of background on yourself?
Sure, Danny. Thanks. Yes, I'm an Amazon seller, or I prefer to say I'm an entrepreneur doing e-commerce, and I chose Amazon as the first channel of distribution. I've been doing that in Europe for the past 2 years. This business is doing more than 7 figures now. And what I found fun is that I have no employees and no VAs. But then the days are quite long sometimes. And especially when we reach the Q4 and all this excitement, you need to be quite organized to get the most of the day.
Yeah, sounds interesting. So you've no VAs, no staff. You do absolutely everything yourself, yeah? Great. Cool. So you've done a presentation in Hong Kong. A lot of this stuff that I kind of cover off myself, not so much in the detail of you. You seem to have this more down packed than myself. So let's talk about one of the most important factors that we all want, but we don't always get it, and sleep.
Indeed, yeah, sleep. We spend around 1/3 of our life sleeping, so we absolutely need to have a good sleep to be in good shape and have a maximum level of energy during the day. And for this, there's a few techniques. First, this is quite easy, but when you travel a lot, when you go east and west, you can suffer a lot from jet lag. There's actually a very easy way to not suffer from jet lag. It's just to plan in advance with some tools or some free websites that actually calculates the best schedule for you, the time where to go to bed, when to wake up, to drink coffee if you do, to take melatonin if you do, etc. And you can travel 6 time zones without even feeling it.
Yeah. So give me some examples of that, because that's one thing I suffer from when I'm on the road. The jet lag is pretty bad. In some cases, when I just recently went to China, I stayed on UK time and went to bed at 6 o'clock in the morning. But that might have something to do with going out partying as well. But I try and pretend that's excuse. Yeah. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. Actually, the worst. When you travel west, for example, you're in the UK and you fly to the US. It's just like having a long party, you push your day a few more hours, and that's fine. But when you travel east to China or anywhere in Asia, it's actually harder, because you need to go to sleep sooner and you need to wake up a lot sooner. And for that, I use two things. There's a free app called Time Shifter, or a website. Well, it's free for the first use, I think, and a website that is completely free called Jet Lag Rooster. And you just give them your flight schedule. And then a few days in advance, the system will recommend the perfect schedule. Okay, Etienne, now you have to go to bed at 10, and the day before at 9, and the day before at 8, etc. Same for the wake up, but also same for your activity. So when you need to expose yourself to light or don't, when you need to drink coffee or stop drinking coffee or take melatonin, I strongly recommend using melatonin.
Sorry for the pronunciation. Are you talking about melatonin?
Yes, sorry.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. No, that's fine. No, absolutely fine. Yeah. So do you take that? Like I normally take a melatonin when I get back, or do you take it when you're on the road? When you arrive to the location, do you kick in with melatonin there?
I do, and I also do at home when I prepare, and when it's not very obvious for me to go to bed at 8 p.m., but when I need to get prepared, and then I take melatonin.
Yeah. Makes sense. So let's talk more about, closer to home, because not everyone's going to be traveling in Q4. They're going to be working close to home, but they need to optimize their sleep. A couple of things I do is that I use like wax earbuds that they mold in your ear, because they attenuate the sound far better. And I also wear like blackout shades when I go to sleep. I reduce the heat in my room, because the sleep at like a cool temperature as well. So it's fully optimized And that helps me personally to get a better sleep, because there's nothing quite worse than, having the heating on and it's too hot. It's just getting that temperature to go down and getting into that system of sleeping. And the other thing I do is mobile devices, turning off the blue screen, switching that over to night time, and then putting on the phone onto airplane mode as
temperature
well.
Temperature is something we don't think about in the first place, but it's absolutely right. Your room ideal temperature is 19 degrees.
Yeah.
And when we go to sleep, and when we have like a hot bath or a hot shower before, it's actually not a good thing, because then the body temperature will be a bit higher than the average, and it needs to be cooler for you to go to sleep faster. So what I usually do, if I really need to go to sleep fast, I take a cold shower right before going to bed.
That's interesting, because what I do there, it's not every night, but there's night I'll have a bath and I'll put a load of magnesium in there, and that kind of knocks me out, makes me tired. But if the bath's too hot, that really brings the body temperature up. So you made a good point there, because I can't go to sleep straight away, even though I feel tired.
Yeah,
I didn't know cold shower therapy works as well.
Yeah, no, your body will take a lot of time to go back to normal, and then it's more energy for the body, so it's easier to help you. And but talking about light, it's important, especially now that the days are shorter here, to get exposed to natural light as soon as possible during the day. So usually what I do when I wake up quite early, I try to have a walk outside for 10, 15 minutes. Or if I can't, I use like those UV devices that replicate the same light spectrum as the sun.
Yeah.
And this for the entire day. And after 5 p.m., I stop doing that, and I also turn all my devices into blue light filter. So the phone we're used to that, but also the computer screen, and I also use the glasses.
Yeah. Yeah, because some people use the orange glasses. I mean, I've got Iris on my computer. It's a paid version. There's free versions that you can get on the computer as well.
It works on Windows, on Apple, on everything.
Yeah. So there are a few out there, because that makes a massive difference, doesn't it? In terms of trying to get to sleep, like if you're staring at the screen, like that hour after is very difficult to it's almost like coming down off that light, it's that adjustment makes it very difficult to sleep.
Indeed. And then one of my favorite topics is actually having naps every day.
Yeah.
It has been proven that having a 20-minute nap is absolutely great for your level of productivity during the afternoon. A lot of leaders in history have done that. Churchill, Kennedy, Salvador Dali, Margaret Thatcher, Einstein, Edison. I can name thousands. Yeah. But having a 20-minute nap right after lunch is great. And a lot of people tell me, yeah, but I'm not so used to go to sleep that fast, so I'm not a nap person. Well, for those people, I would recommend using binaural beats. So it's actually music that you need to listen with the headsets, and they play on the difference of the frequency between the left ear and the right ear.
Yeah.
And there's some music for focusing, some music for relaxing, some music for sleeping, and it's really effective.
Yeah. I mean, agreed. I had naps pretty much every day after lunch. We'll get into fasting and stuff later. I tend to fast until lunchtime. Then I have food. I'll break my fast with something small, then into something a little bit larger, and then I take a 20-minute nap. But a lot of people I talk to about this, because I've tried to encourage people to get like sleep pods in their offices and stuff. But I think the problem is once you get past the 20 minutes and you start going into, I can't remember the technical term, but you go into a different sleep cycle. And that's where people struggle, because the key is, isn't it, is to tune out for 20 minutes or so or under. And then that way you're buying back some of that brain power that you've lost. Because that you hit the fatigue zone, don't you, depending on what time you wake up in the morning. I find that a nap buys me that back a bit.
Yeah. If you go longer than 20 minutes, you can be fine, but you can also fall into deep sleep, which is great for recovery, but which is not great for a nap, because then when your alarm will wake you up, that's going to be hurting. And usually around 20 minutes, you don't fall into this phase as quickly.
Yeah, makes
But
sense.
for the sleep phase, what I use during the night then is a device called Dream with 2E, dream.com. It's actually a French startup that built it for a few years now. And it's much more than all those devices that track your sleep, because it effectively track your sleep based on the activity of your brain. So it literally makes an electroencephalogram of your brain every night.
Yeah.
So it measures that far more efficiently than the apps or the things that you put on your wrist that just analyze your movements or your partner movements, by the way. But then it's also active, because as soon as he recognized that you're in the deep sleep phase, which is the most important for the entire body recovery, then it activates this. It sends you stimulations that will amplify the signal, and that will amplify the length and the efficacy of your deep sleep phases.
Yeah.
Since I use this, I probably reduced my nights by 1 hour, and I'm more in shape than before.
Yeah, that makes sense. And in terms of, let's get into a bit of exercise, because you don't really do exercise, do you? That's not one of your things.
Well, I'll improve on that, but for now, I try to follow Winston Churchill rule, which is no sports.
Right.
But no, I'll improve that. I think the best solution I've found is to exercise with a rowing machine at home every morning for 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, since I got back, I've pretty much, apart from, I think after about 3 or 4 days, I don't do like when you exercise, let your body rest. Some people do an hour workout or heavy duty workouts. I like to train every day, but very short. So I'll get up, glass of water, I'll get straight on the bike, put YouTube on, play a video of some kind in the background. I'll go hard on the bike for about 4 or 5 minutes, get that body heat up, and I'll do some weights as well. But very short period of time. I just want to do that to wake my body up and be alert. I'm not saying it's the right or the wrong thing to do, but I know that I don't have the muscle fatigue, so I can get up the next day and do that over and over again. And that's one of my triggers to get me into the zone. And then from there, I'll go and have coffee, and we'll talk about fasting in a minute and intermittent fasting. But it's interesting you say that, because I think it was Dave Asprey. He doesn't really believe in exercise either. The way he sees it is that if you overexertion on your body, you could be using that energy elsewhere. So you get up every day. If you go and push your body in the gym, not saying it's right or wrong. Yes, you'll get the endorphins going and everything else, but there's a level of return on fatigue. And he prefers to do it through food, and then use that additional energy that you haven't used there to invest in your day into things like, another thing we haven't covered is decision making, and that fatigue from decision making.
I think what you just mentioned is key, is the regularity, and include that in your morning routine or your daily routine.
Yeah.
Even if it's a short moment, then your mind gets used to it. Not only your body, but also your mind gets used to it, and it becomes easier and easier to do. And then you can increase the length, or you can increase the difficulty if you want.
So what about diets? I mean, I'm not saying it's a fad or anything, but a lot of people that I know, especially in our world, they do keto. I was in ketosis for about 2 or 3 years. My body doesn't accept it anymore. I pushed it too hard to the extreme levels. But I loved being in ketos. I loved the fact of feeling the ketones. That's why I enjoy fasting now, whereas I can't have a highly concentrated fat diet, in the way that I did before, because my body's not able to process it the way it once did. I still get the benefits of intermittent fasting when obviously I go in and I switch over and the ketones kick in the morning. Yeah,
it's intermittent fasting is quite new for me. I've been practicing this for only a few months, but I love it. I started with actually the easiest version of it, which is just skipping the breakfast. So I finish eating my dinner around 8 or try a bit before. And then I don't eat during the night nor the morning, and I only eat on the next day for lunch after the meal.
Yeah.
And so for 16 hours, your body doesn't have more food supply, and it will still get the energy from your stock, from your reserve.
Yeah.
And you really feel that for the first days it's a bit weird to have your stomach making weird noises, but it's actually a boost of energy, because the digestion takes a lot of energy actually.
Yeah.
And in the morning when you don't digest, you're just fully focused on what you want to do.
Yeah, you're much more in the zone. Like everyone I speak to, like Evelyn Demirov, he fasts. Most people I know actually do practice a form of fasting, even if it's only 2-3 times a week. It's not a soup for everyone, especially for women as well. There's not always, because the hormone structure, it's not always agreeable. So you have to find out, is this a fit for you? Does it work for you? It's a good way of maintaining weight as well. If you eat loads of crap and fast, you're not going to lose weight. It depends on what your intent is, what you want to achieve. I do it for the feeling, the benefits I get is that when I want to work, especially when you're doing what I call project work, where you need to focus on stuff. Yeah. Some people, if you do like writing press releases, or you're getting into spreadsheets and into numbers, and you need that level of brain power that requires maximum attention and return of efficiency of your brain. There's nothing quite like, for me, is being in that kind of zone. I know that like programmers like it as well, but again, it's not going to be for everyone, because I mean, there's a misstep there that people go, oh, well, you're just starving yourself, when you're not, because if you go back thousands of years, the hunter-gatherer times, people used to get up when the sun used to break in the morning. And if you think about where breakfast come from, it's called breaking your fast, right? And I think, I can't remember what year it was, but breakfast, all these crappy cereals and shit that they shovel on the TV is basically crap. They made breakfast up to sell you another meal a day. I don't believe that you need to eat breakfast in the same, because most of that is just junk. It's just absolute shit with crap and sugar in, isn't it?
Indeed. There's other rhythms that you can use. So you can skip the dinner. You can do one full day of fasting per week. But I think those regimes are a bit more intense. So I just started with this one that works perfectly fine. I think in 10 days, in the beginning, I already lost 4 or 5 kilos that I never took back. So it's great, and I feel awesome.
And with your fast, this because. I always say to people, just like you said, skip breakfast, have something at 10 a.m. If you normally eat breakfast at 8, just hold off, then eat a snack or something at 10, and then build up to it until you get to that stage where I like to do 18:6. Yeah. So I normally do till noon, and then I will eat in the window between 12 noon to 6 p.m. And so black coffee is generally okay. There's an argument with fasting whether you should have coffee at all. But yeah, if you don't have anything with flavors or sugars or anything with calories in, or a density of calories. So coffee normally works for me. What about yourself?
Yeah, the coffee without sugar is fine for me. And also, then you can drink a lot of water. I think on the picture you can see my water bottle. That is a liter and a half. I drink probably 3 of those per day. So it's a lot of water.
So we've kind of covered the fasting part, but generally, like in terms of food, what kind of stuff do you eat? Do you have a low carb diet generally? I mean, although, keto can be the more extreme side because it's less than 25 net carbs, for instance. Yeah. But then you've got paleo and stuff, which is 100-ish.
I actually, my mom is actually a nutritionist, a doctor that advises patients not to eat. But as often, I'm not the best advisor on this. So I don't really pay attention to what I eat. I eat a bit too much. I eat a lot of fat food. I drink a bit too much. So I'm not the perfect example to talk about this. Yeah.
So I mean, you still tailor in. You still drink alcohol and still find time to enjoy yourself. You're not turning into a priest or anything, are you?
Yeah. No, that's the thing. I think the entire uh, philosophy behind this biohacking is to improve yourself and to optimize your body and sometimes your mind
Yeah.
to be more efficient, but you don't want to become a monk.
Yeah. So let's talk about a controversial topic. Let's talk nootropics, smart drugs.
Yeah, yeah. There's a
What's
lot
your
of
take?
well, I use the one that I discovered maybe a year or two ago, which has been around actually for 30 years, I think.
Mm.
And it's called modafinil.
Yeah.
It was used for people that suffer from narcolepsy, but now it's actually pretty widely used among students or people in the tech industry
Yeah.
because it boosts your focus and your cognitive abilities. And scientists from, I think, Harvard and Oxford partnered to do a meta-analysis,
Yeah.
a meta-study, and found absolutely no side effects. So it's actually a perfect product to improve your performance without suffering from any
Because when
bad.
you because see what happens is because there's this, what's the word for it? Because it's called smart drugs and,
Yeah.
it sounds like it's evil and illegal and all this kind of stuff, which it isn't. Now, you can't buy them in the UK. You have to get them shipped in from like the US and stuff like that. So there are certain markets. But it's interesting, like you said, about the side effect things, is that you can smoke cigarettes with nicotine in, you can drink alcohol, which is considered as a drug as well. But it's interesting in how it's perceived. Now, you've got kids, students, taking harder drugs, which are ADHD drugs like Adderall and stuff like that. And the side effects from these medications that from the pharmaceutical companies are pretty hardcore, aren't they? It's just they're basically saying, yes, we agree, these are legalized kind of thing. Therefore, they seem safe, and they're not, because people will take Adderall and stuff, will have problems weaning themselves off of that. And in some effects, some people, you need to do the research, but some people use smart drugs to utilize those, which are legal, which you can buy, from a store. You can order online, where they would use those because they are like less intensive in terms of coming up off them. So what you're talking about is Adderall, and there's permutations on that. I think in the US you can buy the brother or the sister version. So adrafinil is similar to modafinil, but adrafinil converts to modafinil in the liver and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's an interesting take, and I think you'll find there's a lot of Amazon sellers out there. They may not talk about it publicly, that utilize this as a way to get on, because it's quite a competitive culture at the top, isn't it? There are like super big sellers, doing like really well, and they're optimizing their business, but they're also optimizing themselves. And this is important, whether you go down this road or not. That's entirely up to you. But the worst case scenario can be is that you're in Q4. You're getting on the piss every night, drinking alcohol, you're eating crap food. You're never going to be able to perform at your best. And the only way to perform at your best is to have discipline in that department. Obviously you can treat yourself and have fun and stuff. But when it comes to the brass tacks, the business end, it's that consistency and discipline that make all the difference.
Yeah. And fun fact, when I gave this talk in Hong Kong for the Global Sources Summit, I also talk about business vision, etc. Not only about body hackings, but we were probably 100 people in the room, and at the end of my talk, 3 people came to me and told me, you shouldn't have told our little secrets.
Right.
And one of them actually had some pills on him and showed it to me. But wow. There's a lot of people using it.
Yeah, I think it's people but they're almost not embarrassed, but they're concerned of the not repercussions, but the way that people may view them.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So with that in mind, then, if we're going to wrap here, let's go through everything we kind of covered. So anyone out there who's not interested in nootropics, all good, but do look into your diet, your fasting. If you can get a system in place, So I think out of all of those things, if you can just optimize your sleep, earplugs, eye lights, you know, to cover the eye shades. I can't remember the name of them now, but eye shades, wear those in bed, reduce the temperature, the sleep apps to optimize to check your sleep, go to bed at a regular time. Just all the obvious stuff. One thing we didn't cover is supplements. We talked about melatonin when you travel as well. But I think diet, sleep, and exercise, if you take anything from this podcast, if you can optimize the shit out of those three things, you would add 20-30% to your performance overall if you're not a very healthy person.
Definitely, yeah.
Cool. Is there anything you would like to add before we go?
If some of you are interested in challenging yourself and your body, especially with a cold, you can also dig into the direction of a guy called Wim Hof, or the Iceman.
Yeah.
This is actually very good.
Yes. Do you want to quickly talk about that? Paul Harvey is a regular guest on the show. He's actually qualified. He went and done the course for that. So do you want to remind the audience?
I just started a few months ago, but in February I'll spend 1 week with a guy in Poland, and I think it will be cold, but very nice as well. It's really gives your body a boost. It's an adrenaline shot that lasts for the entire day. So it's not only about cold. It's also about meditation and a lot of breathing techniques to get into a state where your body can fight against aggression, because cold is an aggression for the body. Gotcha. And you feel when you got prepared, and before you enter a nice bath, you really feel like you're in fire. All the pieces of your body are in fire. Yeah. It's a great feeling.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that lasts the whole day then.
It does. It lasts at least 6 hours. Yes.
Right. Makes sense. Cool. If anyone wants to reach out to you and understand a bit more about what you do, because I mean, obviously the reason behind this is that to give a good example is that you literally run a 7-figure business and you don't have any VAs and it's just yourself. Mm-hmm. So did you start where you had other people until you increased the performance of your health?
Sorry, say it again.
Did you actually start with staff at some point, but it weren't until you optimized your health you realized you could do this yourself, or is that always been the case?
No, it has always been the case, and I think the business can grow a lot more without any more people, just by tools, systems, and personal optimizations.
Yeah, cool. Best way that people can reach you?
WeChat, Etienne Ameil, Eaneil.
Excellent. Guys, thank you for joining us. Etienne, thanks for joining us. If this is your first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you again in the next few days. Take care.